Thanks a lot, Kasam. It's my pleasure being here, part of Dear Azure community event, and I would like to thank all the participants for spending their weekend with us. And yeah, definitely PowerShell for Azure Professional is going to be one of the interesting topic because I've been using PowerShell since its version 1.0, and almost now we are using the latest version is 7.2. So I've spent a good amount of time with PowerShell, and I've seen the evolution of the commandlets, and I've seen some exciting features and stuff. So I just want to put it across, congregate all, and show you guys what we can do with PowerShell, and as an administrator, what you can automate at your workplace and elevate your administration tasks, and also the quality of service and delivering some error-prone infrastructure using PowerShell. Definitely, we are not going to discuss about the infrastructure as a code, Terraform, bicep, JSON. No, we are not going to do that. We are going to just start over with the basics of what exactly the PowerShell is and how it helps Azure professionals. Before getting started over, I just want to know how many of you are really new to PowerShell. You have never used PowerShell. You can just give a comment in the comment section. That will help me. Maybe hardly one or two. I'm not really sure because I can't go into the chat screen now. That's okay. So we are going to discuss about what we can do with PowerShell for administrating the Azure environment. And myself, Chandrayan Venkatesan, my Twitter handle is @ChandrayanB. And you can follow me at my Twitter, or you can look at my blog about-powershell.com, or you can follow me in my YouTube channel too. It's iAutomate. Okay, that's a short introduction about myself. I'm an MVP too. So I've been MVP since 2014. I've taken it for PowerShell, and now it's been under the Cloud and Data Center Management. Okay, so this is the, we can call it as a 20,000 feet overview, what we're going to cover in the session. We are going to discuss few things about the APIs, what administrator does at their workplace for managing the Azure environment, and what is that what's called CI/CD, DevOps, and other stuff. We don't get into the deep dive of DevOps part though, but you can just get an overall idea about what we can do and how we can do the automation through PowerShell. Okay, that's our agenda today. So we're gonna start over with the introduction of PowerShell first, and we need to know how to install the Azure modules, and exploring the commandlets, that's knowing commandlets, and also writing functions through REST APIs. Why do we need to do that? Yeah, we will definitely cover that. And we have to do something more apart from what you have got in your easy modules and stuff, because there are a lot of things which you can do at ease using different methods, different tools altogether, right? So we're going to cover that as well. Because end of the session, what you can take away from here is not only the AZ module, not only the PowerShell, you can also know a little bit about taking the next course of action, developing some kind of interfaces, or developing some kind of automation scripts by yourself, which is not available as a commandlet in the PowerShell. So you can do that by yourself. So I'm just going to help you for that. Okay, so this is the high level of what exactly we're going to cover. Whatever we want to do it on Azure, say for example, you're going to create a resource group, or you're going to create a virtual machine, you're going to destroy it, you're going to update it, you're going to tag it. You do any kind of activity on the Azure resources, it's going to happen through the Azure Resource Management. It's that simple as that, right? So how are you going to connect to the Azure Resource Management layer? There are many ways for that. So top 3 is over here. You go to Azure portal, you log in with your credentials and say that get me create a new resource group. You just go fill in some information and then tag it, and then you get some put some resources or whatever. So how that is going to happen? That is happening through a REST API. We don't need to get in detail about what is that REST API. Definitely we will cover it in the future deck. So you communicate to the Azure Resource Manager layer through the REST API. That's one port of communication through the portal. But we always know that, right? We can't manually create a resources. We shouldn't manually create a resources because it's not a best practice, and it's not going to put you on DevOps, or it's not going to follow the best practices, or it's not really advised. But you always have a portal. It's all good to know. You can also navigate quickly and see how your resources is behaving, and what is happening. So for that, you need a portal. And yes, of course, you can create it if you have a good amount of resources at your workplace who can spend hours and hours of time to create a resources. Every time you give a call and say, get me 100 resource group, 200 virtual machines, get me 300 NIC cards, and get me 200 public IP addresses. If you have resources, you can do it. The next option comes as a command shell. So it can be anything. It can be your AZ module, or it can be your legacy RM module, or it can be your AZ CLI, or you use your own command shell and you write user STAPI and build your own commandlet. End of the day, the communication is again going to happen through the API. So that's how it's designed, right? So API is it's going to be your agent here to establish a communication between whatever you choose to connect with your ARM. And next comes is the template. Yes, of course, in command shell also you can go ahead and provision a resources. You can create a resource group using commandlet or AZCLI or REST APIs, right? But yes, this is also one way of recommended, but I don't advise, because again, you instead of clicking, you are going to do it through the command shell. That's a second option. The third option comes as your templates. That's nothing but your ARM template, or you write it in Bicep, or you write it through Terraform, or you write it through Pulumi, whatever the tools you prefer to write a template. So that's the recommended advised way to work with Azure to provision or to play around with your resources. It can be anything. It can be creation, reading, updating, deleting. But yes, of course, mostly we don't use template for reading, but we will be using it for updating, creating, and deletion. Any CRUD operations we are going to do through the template. Even that is going to happen through the API. From the Bicep, if you are going to build something, I mean, if you would have attended my previous session, I've shown a detail about like how you use Bicep to provision container apps. It's an end-to-end automation. I think Dear Azure YouTube channel should be having that video. You can quickly go through that. It will be converting whenever you run a Bicep, it will generate an ARM template and then you deploy it. The deployment happens under the hood through the REST API. I'll show you how that happens in my demo. OK, so this is the overall view. If you have any questions, please raise a hand so that Kasam can make a note of it and we can address it. OK, so this is the easy start guide. Trust me, we're going to use only these two commandlets. You can do a lot of work in Azure. Yes, it may sound, it may not make much sense. How can we do that using the get command and invoke REST method? If you want to understand any commandlet, I always recommend any administrator first use a help command for that. If the documentation is not in place, you can raise a concern in issues in GitHub, or you can give a feedback, and then you can also contribute to the commandlet. If most of the commandlets have got a very good documentation from Microsoft, you can just make use of that and understand the commandlet and you can work on it. There are environments where people aren't allowed to use the modules. A very rare scenario, they can't use the modules, or they want to just break the dependencies of taking out the AZ module or RM module, or they don't need to take any kind of Microsoft modules at all. In that case, you can use a REST API method, and then using the invoke REST method commandlet, you can achieve whatever you're going to do to using the AZ module. This tool is most powerful, and I will show it in my demo as well. OK. First thing, this is just for beginners who are not really aware what is PowerShell is. It's a cross-platform task automation tool made up of command line shell. If anybody have not gone through the Monad manifesto, I recommend you to go to Bing or any of your favorite search engine and search for Monad manifesto. That's where all the PowerShell started. It was we know like Jeffrey Snover is the father of PowerShell, and he has got a couple of team members, Jeff Truman and others I don't know by name. They all started making some good command prompt, and then all of a sudden they came up with a nice idea of making the PowerShell, which is the next version of shell actually, because unlike other shell, PowerShell returns the .NET objects because it's built using .NET framework. Whenever you say do the pipeline in any of other shells like Bash or whatever the SH shells and all, it's like a pipeline of text, right? Wherein PowerShell it's pipeline of objects because it's built using the .NET framework. And it's like built on, I mean, it's a .NET CLR. So whenever you check for the version, you'll also get the CLR version number and other details. As I said, like I started working from the PowerShell version 1.0. The current version as per December 15, 2021 is 7.2.1. So you need to check what is your PowerShell version and you can keep updating it. That is one recommended way of keeping all the up-to-date things in PowerShell so that you will not miss any kind of new features or commandlets. Yes, of course, if you upgrade your Windows 10 or 11, I'm not really sure whether you get your PowerShell version updated because starting from 6, the PowerShell version started in the side-by-side installation. What it means is, say, example, I have PowerShell 5.1 by native installed in my, by default installed in my computer, right? So whomever have Windows machines, they can just go and type in PowerShell, they get a PowerShell version 5.1. For PowerShell 6, I need to go and download and install it in my Windows machine. It will be a side-by-side installation. Consider that I don't want to use 6.0. It's almost legacy now. You are not supposed to use 6. So I'm just giving for an example. If I want to use 6.1.1 or 6.1.2, I can download and install it. So I'll be having another version of PowerShell. So it's a side-by-side installation. OK, so you can upgrade it. Now you can have 7.2.1 running on your machine, and also you can have a 5.2.1. Many ask me this question, like why at places I see like a Windows PowerShell and in few places I see like Microsoft PowerShell. It's quite simple. Wherever you see Microsoft PowerShell, that means that particular module, custom module, or any native modules that's supported in the core. That means that runs on a core that runs on Linux machine as well as on Windows machine and Mac OS. That's why it's called Microsoft PowerShell module. So Microsoft PowerShell is nothing but a PowerShell core, PWSH. .exe is the caller for that. Wherever you see Windows PowerShell, it's PowerShell.exe that runs only on Windows. Consider I have built a module called A and I name it as Windows PowerShell and I tag it to 5.1. So that means that runs only on Windows PowerShell. That's not going to run on PowerShell core. So that is going to fail. So you have to make sure what module you're going to install and where you're going to install and how you're going to consume it. That's what our key focus is. That's where we're going to do the starting point for us. OK, here comes the few features of our PowerShell. So PowerShell, like it supports like a formatting systems for the easy output. So what that means is, as I said, it's going to throw back the .NET objects for us. You don't need to spend a couple of time to manipulate or massage the data you get as an output. PowerShell has its own formatting. It supports like common data formats like CSV, XML, JSON and stuff. So easily you can present the data, you can export the data to the required format and put it across to your manager. So most of the time I have seen IT administrators spending a lot of time exporting a report and then sharing it with their manager or putting across in some database. Sorry?
Yes, tell me.
I'm sorry. I think if you are on mute, that should be great help for me. Thank you. Right. So you will be spending a lot of time for massaging the data, right? So formatting the data and sending it across. So those tasks are very made easy for us as an administrator. You can just use simple commandlets and get the job done. You may have a scenario like schedule a report which sends some kind of a CSV report to your team every month. So there are a lot of ways to achieve it, right? You can run it, you can keep a reminder in your calendar and you can run the script on your machine and send it across, or you can schedule it in some of the serverless, or you can schedule it in your pipeline. You can do a lot of magics, but for all under the hood, you can use one single script. You can have multiple ways to run it. You can run it in your local machine, you can have a dedicated VM, you can have a pipeline to run it, or you can have your function app to run it, or you can have your container apps to run it. You can run it in container instances. Lot of ways to run it. You can have some scheduler jobs and stuff. You will definitely get into detail about it because we're going to have some hands-on session on it, right? And yes, of course, PowerShell supports writing, allowing you to write functions. And starting from 5.1, I'm not really sure 4 or I think 5. PowerShell started supporting for classes, PowerShell classes. So it's kind of fun. When it was introduced, my assumption was it was just an ice topping, but it solved a lot of problem. So there are a lot of developers who write some programs like in a .NET C# fashion, right? So for them, it is pretty easy. They can just consume classes and they can write their own methods, properties, say they can play with the objects and present it. So a lot of modules are also built supporting classes now. So you can using classes, you can define your own. And yes, of course, PowerShell is a scripting language. But as per the Microsoft definition, it is like a scripting language. But for me, it is far better than the scripting language, though. As I said, it's built using a .NET framework, so that is considered to be a greatest feature because you have a lot of options to play with the objects, right? So you can export it, you can import some data and make that as a properties and work with the properties, or invoke some default methods allowed for that and work on it. Any commandlets you take in a PowerShell, it's easy to understand. You're allowed to access any of the command. Let's say, for example, get, set, new, or anything. It will be a verb and noun combination. Get hyphen process, get hyphen services. So that makes administrator to easily understand what that command is about to do. But there are people they may write their own function in a way like some non-standard verb and noun thing. But the tool is going to let you know while writing a commandlet, don't use such kind of verb noun combinations, because that is going to break the rule and that is not going to help any administrator to understand it. So we will definitely see that in the demo. Next comes is the tab completions. Unlike other shells, PowerShell supports a tab completion. If you don't know the parameter, but you know the first letter of it, it's not a problem. You can just put the first letter and keep tabbing and it's going to resolve it by itself. That will be a great help. Yeah, there are a lot of PowerShell folks who always advise that don't remember the command, like don't try to keep the commandlets in your mind and saying that, okay, this commandlet is going to solve this problem and stuff, because it keeps changing and it's impossible to remember all the commandlets. It's really impossible. But what happens when you go for a certification? That's the time where you have to remember the basic commandlets. Say they may ask like which command you opt to do certain task. Yes, of course, you can look into the command and you can easily identify it, but you need to just spend a few minutes to make sure that you're selecting the correct commandlet, because at times two or more commandlets may look similar, but you have to make sure that it's not going to cause any trouble selecting that option. So that's why I said PowerShell has that feature, the verb and noun combination, and that follows the standard. Looking at that, you can come to know what that command is going to do. Say, for example, you have update -az resource group and you have new -az resource group. So we know update is going to do some modification and new is going to create a new resource group, right? So that's how you can make out what commandlet is going to do. So it's that easy. And one of the other greatest features is the cross-platform that we discussed, because it supports in Mac OS, it supports on Linux, and also supports on Windows. It's a cross-platform. So when you build anything you're going to build now, you have to make sure that is a cross-platform supporter. So that should be the key point here. These are few references. I'll be sharing this deck to you. You can access this if you're very new to PowerShell. I always recommend go to PowerShell 101. There is a good book written by Micah Robbins, I think, or Jeffrey Hick. You have to just go through that link and access that book and make sure that you're going to follow all the instructions or guidance are given in that. It's really super awesome for the beginners. If you say that I'm good in PowerShell, but I want to know something more about PowerShell, you can always access the PowerShell landing page. That will help you to get to know what's new coming up. And also it says like what exactly you want to do with that new feature, 7.1.2, or when the 6.0 is getting, I mean, the older version is going to be deprecated. All those information you can get it from the landing page.
Could you please ping the URL of the book?
Yes, I think I can have that one over here. PowerShell 101. Yes, it's Micah Robbins. Here's the chat window here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, fine. Since I opened up the chat window, I got a question here. Does the command shell internally makes REST API call to create a resource? Exactly, that's how exactly it works. I will show you how to explore that in the demo. Still, is my voice is too low?
No, it's fine now.
Now it's fine.
Okay, good. Is there any question I'm missing here? Okay, so definitely we'll come back to that. We will share the container app recorded URL, and voice is clear now. Yeah, Kasam will be sharing the YouTube link. That's right. Okay, good. Back here to the PPT. Okay, so and another reference link is for how to use PowerShell docs, because Microsoft supports a lot of versions and modifications has been done on the commandlets and stuff, and the documentation is getting updated very often. So there is how to use PowerShell docs. They guide you how to pick the version and check the parameters, because quite common mistakes what administrator does is, I mean, it's not a mistake, I can say it's just a human error because everybody will do it. I'll be having a n-1 version. Say for example, I have got version 5. I'm just throwing a number. AZ PowerShell module version 5.0. But when I go to the PowerShell AZ PowerShell document page, by default it will be opening up a latest version. I'll forget to go and modify the version, right? So I have to change the version and then look into the documentation. So that's how like there are a lot of steps being provided by Microsoft. So you have to take care of that also. So this reference link will be definitely helpful. I'll be sharing it with you all. So here comes the Azure PowerShell. What does this Azure PowerShell altogether means? Earlier, we have got some modules called RM module, Azure RM module. That's called Azure Resource Manager module. That is almost legacy now. We don't need to worry about it. Don't look into it if you're new. If you are using Azure RM module, please plan to upgrade to AZ module, because RM module is going to be having an end of support by 2023 or 4, I think, if I'm not wrong. So you have to just make sure you're getting out of that at any point of time, or as earliest as possible, I would recommend. You can also run ARM module and AZ module side by side by enabling some aliases, but I always recommend try to get out of it. Okay, so the AZ module, that's the Azure PowerShell, that allows administrator to manage the Azure infrastructure. Be it anything, you can just go ahead and do it using commandlet. So having said that, you may have a question. Do you think that you have a commandlets for everything? Yes, of course, we should be having for 99% of whatever you are doing it in the portal. So if you can achieve it in the AZ CLI, you should be having the option to do it in the PowerShell. But having said that, Microsoft would have not released a commandlets for that. But there is a way to get out of that kind of a risk and work with the Azure using PowerShell. For that, you will be using a REST API directly using invoke REST method. So 90%, 99%, I can tell there is commandlets available for everything. But if there is not, yes, of course, we can raise a concern with Microsoft in GitHub, and then we can get that sorted. So using the Microsoft Azure PowerShell, you can just Azure PowerShell module, you can build your own tools to automate your administration tasks. Say, for example, it can be anything, not only reporting. You may be having a POC environment. Consider that you get a request from your users to create some 50 resource groups and say tag it as environment POC and delete it after 15 days. So you can't keep a reminder for such request every time and then get a scheduler notification and then go ask your operations team to delete it, or one who have a permission to delete it, right? You can have a job running and you can automate that kind of a task, saying that please go ahead and delete it on certain date. Say like on this particular month, second Tuesday of every month, you can look in for the resources and scan and check. Or you may get a request like on third week of Wednesday, I'll be looking out for 20 resource groups with a certain name, and you have to deliver it to these people. So you may have some CSV report. You can just have a scheduler for that, and then you can process the data and send it across to them. I'm just throwing up only resource group. It can be anything. You can have a VM, you can have a web app, or you can have a function apps. You can have something like create for POC and delete it. Or you can also have a kind of a job running to identify the non-compliant resources and send a notification saying that these kind of resources are not as per the patterns and practices of your organization, or the governance body is saying this is incorrect, please look into it, you can send a notification to your resource owners or one who manages the resources. And the Azure PowerShell, by default, you can use it in the function app. Whenever you provision a function app which runs using a PowerShell runtime, .NET runs a PowerShell runtime, by default, it will provide you the easy latest version module. So you just go script over there, that's it. So you're going to build only the logic app. You're going to spend time on your logic and then say that you're going to run it. Azure Function App will provide you an infrastructure to do all sort of things. It will allow you for a scheduler. It will allow you to do the input output bindings. It can have some kind of different triggers. There's a lot of features available in it. So yeah, we can, if time permits, I can just give one demo on Function App using PowerShell. And as I said, like Azure PowerShell is definitely an admin friendly because it does a good documentation and easy verb and noun combination to help you out to understand the commandlet easier. Don't need to remember it. You can just get help and then get to know about the commandlet. And also there are a possibility that you don't know what commandlet you're going to use. You can also very well find a command and then get details about it. I'll show that in my demo. So as I said, yes, this is good to know. If you are using Azure RM model, that is almost legacy, but I don't want to officially confirm it because actually I shouldn't do anything officially, but I'm just telling you, if you're using ARM model, please don't continue using it, try to migrate it. Yes, of course, AZCLA is also an alternate. You can try to learn about it and use AZCLA at your workplace. You can use REST APIs to directly work with your Azure ARM, and you can get the job done without using PowerShell AZ module or AZCLI or AZ portal. There is one more thing I'm missing it here. That's nothing but your Cloud Shell. If you don't need to run it on your local machine, you can directly connect to, in the Azure portal, there is a Cloud Shell icon. You can click that and you can directly work on the Azure commandlets directly. It has AZCLI pre-installed. It has Azure PowerShell latest version pre-installed. That is again just to make sure you quickly deploy something rather than opening a PowerShell, connecting to the Azure through the authentication using credentials or service principal, whatever it may be. Azure Shell is an alternate option. Okay, as I said, this is what we have done. So now let's get on to a demo. The first thing first we need to make sure is how we are going to start with the PowerShell. So I have got both the version of PowerShell here. So everybody can see my screen now, right?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So, yes. Thanks a lot. So I'm using my Windows 10 machine here. So if I'm going to search for PowerShell, you will see the PowerShell 7. If you have installed PowerShell Core 7, so you will be seeing this 7 64-bit because I have installed for a 64-bit. From where you want to install it, so you can go to the PowerShell landing page, PowerShell 7 installation. You can search for it. Why I'm not getting a Microsoft link? Okay, let me open that. PowerShell 7 download. So here is your installing PowerShell on Windows options. So you can do the MSI package install, zip package, or a lot of options they have given it. You can install from the stores and stuff. So if you choose x86, this is going to be for your 32-bit machine. And if you're going to use for 64, if you're downloading 64, it's going to be for 64-bit. What is the difference in it? Why Microsoft is giving a 34-bit PowerShell? Because there are a couple of Windows components or any technology products, whatever they use, that runs only on the 32-bit. In that case, those modules won't work on 64-bit. Consider that this as an example. I don't want this PPT anymore. Just let me close this PPT. So I've got this particular version, right? So here you can see all these details here. In any module, I have it in this particular machine. See, consider that this is one of the custom module. If this module is not supported on 64-bit, I don't see it here. But I want to make use of this in 32-bit, then I need to open up PowerShell. I need to open up the 32-bit. x86, that's the difference. So there are compatibility given to you so that you can just pick that particular version and then 32-bit and then run that modules. There is a PowerShell ISE which you see. This is nothing but your integrated environment to scripting environment, that is ISE, integrated scripting environment, to develop the PowerShell scripts. Yes, you can write some PowerShell core scripts also here, but when you are running it, you have to run it using a PWSH command. So, but you cannot call PowerShell.exe. Say for example, if I do only PWSH, I see only the PowerShell app, PowerShell 7, 6. I didn't see the PowerShell ISE and other stuff because that runs on PowerShell underscore ISE exe, right? Say for example, I have the PowerShell ISE open here. Okay, I'll keep this process running. I have one PowerShell 7 running here. I'll open up one Windows PowerShell 2. My Windows PowerShell 2. Okay, I'll click run as administrator. Okay, let it run. Now, whenever I open it, you will get a notification here. Try the new cross-platform PowerShell because that's advised. Yeah, that's really good news. So you come to know there is something Microsoft is announcing for you. So let me say, I don't know how many processes running in P. You can see here, I have a PowerShell core running here. Sorry, core running here. And also I see PowerShell underscore ISE and I see PowerShell. Right, this is the process. So to understand which process console host you're running, there is a variable for that. You can just do $PID, the current process ID. So 33812. This is the current process ID of this PowerShell console host. Context. So 33812. Right. So let me keep this open now. Sorry, I made a mistake. Just opens PowerShell window. This is just the basics of Windows PowerShell, like how to work with this. So if you hold the control key and scroll up, you can zoom in the console host, and you can do scroll down, you can zoom out. So that's one of the good feature. And to set up your PowerShell console host, you can always click on the PowerShell icon on the left top corner, click on the properties. You can go customize your console host. Say like if you don't need to have console as your font, you want Courier New as your font, you can opt it and see the preview here, how that looks. And you can also change your buffer size, number of buffers and stuff. I always keep my layout bit easier, like so I can have width and height as specified here. And also you can have some different setup for your terminals and thing. So this is pretty easier for administrator to set it up accordingly. I've changed the font now, that's where you can see this part, right? So this is always a Windows PowerShell one. So I'll just do PS version table here. I didn't type the complete variable name here, right? So I just do $PSV and I just do a tab. It got completed, tab completion by itself. So when I push enter, this is very important to note here. This gives me what is the PowerShell version I'm running. So this is 5.1, 19041 or what? This is the operating system version number associated to this. And this PowerShell edition is a desktop edition. This is not a core edition. So that means this runs only on the Windows, and the compatible versions are this. These are all the PowerShell compatible versions. And this is my .NET command language runtime version 4.0. This is the .NET runtime I am using in my machine. Okay. Back here on my PowerShell core, I do $PS version table. So here you see the PS edition is core. So this means this is supported in Mac operating system as well as on Windows as well as on Linux operating system. So the latest version of that is the version I'm using is 7.2.1. That's the latest. And you can see in which operating system I'm running it. This is the key change here. Because if you're running it on a Linux, you will get a different operating system name here. And that is going to have the same version and the core. Right? And what is the difference you have seen here is I didn't see the CLR version number. That's good. Right? So this is how you will make sure in which console host you're running and what PowerShell you're running, either a Microsoft PowerShell or a Windows PowerShell. Okay, so next comes is our very important topic, that is our Azure PowerShell. Before getting into it, I just want to know, help you out searching for commands and stuff. Say for example, I want to work with the date time, but I don't know how that is been designed in PowerShell, or I don't know how to search for that. So you can simply go saying that get command and you push enter. This get command is going to pull out all the commandlets available in all the modules in my machine. Your modules can be installed in your modules is nothing but a package of commandlets.
Hey,
Okay,
Chen,
yes.
sorry to interrupt you. Can you increase the font size of the font PowerShell? Yes, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully this should help. Okay, so if I say like a get hyphen command, I will get all the commandlets available from the module. So modules are nothing but a package of commandlets, I said, right? You can install the modules in two different ways. Scope. One is you can install for all the users using your machine, or you can limit running your commands, modules only to your scope. That is your current user. So I am one of the user in this machine or a server, whatever it is. I just want to install a module, say PSHTML, whatever it is. Okay, so I'll just say like find module. Find module is one of the command. I say like the name of the module is something like PSH. I know the module name, so I'm just giving it. I just push enter. Meanwhile, I'll just give you another link called PowerShell Gallery. So community people who wants to contribute to the PowerShell, I think they will just compile their commands as a module and then give it over here, ship it over here. So you can just go to PowerShell Gallery and search for some keywords for what you are looking out for. So you will get a lot of modules. So you can just choose one of that and install that. Consider that you go to one of this PSHTML module and say like, I don't know what is going to do. What is this all about? You can search for the some commands, or it should have a project details, right? So I know he's the author. Is there any way? Yeah, you can see the release notes here. So it is available on GitHub, so I can go get all the documentation about it. When I'm searching for that, the author helps me out to understand this runs on core and desktop. That means it runs on both the versions. That's what he meant to say. So PS version table, if it gives core, it works. Desktop, yes, it works. So it's a cross platform. So I get to know about the details about the package. So now I've got this version. How it is going to get this? Because I've got my PS repository. PS repository. So I've got PS gallery added as my PowerShell gallery, right? So it will go resort to this particular API and find to get this data for me. Okay, you can also have a custom gallery where you can go get all the details. That's an advanced topic. If I get an option to talk about it, I'll definitely help you out. So for your organization, you can build a module, but you don't want to sell it to the PowerShell gallery. I mean, put it across to the PowerShell gallery. You can put it across in your feed, in Azure DevOps feed, and consume that as your internal custom module, and you can give access to the selected set of people or in the projects, and they can consume it. So you don't want to have globally using it, but you can also use a find module and install it from that. Using that commandlet, you can install it. So now that I've got a gallery, I'm getting this commandlet and this version. So now consider that I want to install this. So I can do always a combination of two commandlets, combining two commandlets using a pipe sign. So I can use a pipe and say like install module, and here I just give scope. So I just put hyphen yes and tab completed. I don't know what is the value for it. For few parameters, PowerShell help you out. I made a space here and giving a tab. So it says, do you want to install for all users? No, I don't want to do for all users. I want to do for current user. So I just do a tab again. It says current user. If I do a tab again, it has only two options. Either you install for all user profiles or you install for your own profile. Okay, so I just choose for all users and say force and verbose. Why I want to use this to switch force and verbose? If in case I have the older version, it will install the newer version, and it is again a side by side. I will show you how this works. I'm just going to install this now. I already have the latest version, I think, so I'm not sure. So now this will start installing the latest version. You can see the verbose is printing out the API calls, searching the repository PowerShell Gallery API v2. This is hitting this particular API. Find by package ID PSHTML, because I've given my name as the project, sorry, the module name as PSHTML. So it goes and search for it. It identified that there is a package available. So it started installing the module. Similar to this, we will be installing for Azure PowerShell. So I'll just start it over in a while. So when I install this, where will this get installed? Which location it will be installed? So you can see that specified module is installed in this particular location. See program files, PowerShell modules. Okay, I'll just copy that. Actually, it didn't install it because I have the version already installed. That's why it's kept it. That's good. So let me open up the path and I go to the modules. Here I can see PSHTML. If I open up this PSHTML module, I have 0.8.2, which is the latest version. Consider I want to have a version 1 before this. That's n-1. I go to the PowerShell gallery, or I just go to my find module PSHTML. I just do all versions. So I just made all versions. But how it's possible for you to remember these parameters are available? So it's very simple. What you can do is you can say like help find -module. Yes, now you may have a question. How do I know there is a command called find -module? You can always use this get command ***. You just search with your keyword. This is going to give me all the commands which has a word module. So that's pretty simple. Now it will become another confusion. There is a AZ automation source, Azure RM automation source, something called as liability. I don't know what is that module is. That's okay. There is pester and stuff, but you want to understand, you want to get it only from the PowerShell get. PowerShell get is a say package manager. It will have a lot of it will allow you to install the modules from the gallery. Just consider as that at this point of time. It has a lot of modules available and scripts available. So I will take this PowerShell get. This is a wrapper of all the modules associated. I mean, it allows you to go search for the module, save the modules and run it. And you can choose from where you need to install, from the NuGet or from the PowerShell script, PowerShell gallery, or from any other sources. Okay, so now I just do the same get -command module hyphen. I will say module name as PowerShell get. So now I get list of commandlets. I can just filter out, get only the information I am looking out for. That is nothing but find module, get installed module, publish module and stuff. So this is how I used to get details about the commandlets. Now I got there is a find module. I know find is nothing but to search. So I just say find module AZ. You can do without giving the parameter. Also, that's possible. So I'm just giving it as -name AZ. I always recommend you to avoid aliases as much as possible. You can use aliases for find module. That is like get command find -module. If you do this, you should be getting the aliases of it. Get aliases find module. Okay. Get alias name find module. Okay, fine. Let me do it in the help get help find -module. Okay, so there is here you will get to know the full description about the commandlets, how to use the syntax. So help find module will give you details about like what parameters you're going to use, all versions. Is it required version or is I mean the parameter is required or not? You can get it from here. If it is set to false, that means you don't need to use it. So if you say allow pre-release, so you can get always a pre-released version, not a stable version. That you are giving the permission to the system. This kind of parameter is called a switch parameter because for this parameters you don't need to have a pass a value. If you pass it, it will change the default value from false to true. That's it. Okay, and you have a lot of other values along with that, credentials, command and stuff. Why I use the alias help to find module rather than using get -module. I can use get -help and say find -module. Okay, if I push enter, you see you didn't get the complete details. Okay, it just gave like this details. So if I want to get a full detail about it, I can always use full. So I get all the details. But what happened here is it is not paginated. You need to scroll up, scroll down to read. Correct? Wherein if I use an alias help find -module, so I'll be getting out all these details. Correct? So it is like with the paginated with more. So I can just push enter. But have you observed one thing here? When I used the command get help find module, I got the aliases, but I didn't get it in the help aliases. I don't know what is the reason behind it, but that's okay. So I can use FIMO name, which is FIMO is nothing but an alias of find module, the shorter version of find module. So for example, if I want to say get help and say get hyphen process, so I get GPS or PS. I can use this two aliases. So I use PS and push enter. I'm going to get all the process running in my machine. Or I can also use get hyphen process. Both the same. So as I said, the commandlets are built using the .NET framework. How do I confirm it to you? How do I prove it? It's pretty simple. I just pick it up like get hyphen process and pipe it and identify the get hyphen member. This allows me to explore the properties, methods, and types available in it. So you can see when I do the get member, I got a type name called system.diagnostics.process. This is the class in .NET used to build this commandlet. So that's why I'm getting this. So I just copy this and let me do. So I can do this kind of, I don't know for what reason I couldn't copy this. It's strange. Okay, let me do it here. Get hyphen. For get hyphen service, similar thing. So partial console host, yes, TJ here. So now I'm using the service controller class. You can just copy this type name and go to Google or Bing or any of your favorite search engine. Just paste this. You get a details about this class, service controller classes, right? So you can also very well use the service controller classes in a way like you get the services. So either I give a remote machine name to get the services. If I don't pass any machine name, I'm going to get the local machine. So if I do this, I'm going to get all the services running in my machine, which is nothing but get hyphen service. Both the results are going to give you the same results. So that's how exactly it works. Okay. And now I have to quickly come back on the Azure PowerShell commandlets module. So now I need to go to the PowerShell gallery back again. Okay, I just go to the PowerShell gallery. In the PowerShell gallery, I just search for Azure. So I've got a lot of modules available here. So I don't know which one to choose. So you don't need to worry about it. There is always a command called az followed by the service name. So you need to opt for that. You can very well choose only the required module for you, for your purpose. Like I work only on API management, so I don't need any other thing. When I go install the API management, what happens is in the same way, I open up this. I don't need to type any commands. Microsoft makes the job easier. I just click on it. I know what is the latest version. I pick it from here and I copy this and I go install it. I just go to my console host and say run this. This is going to install it, right? But I just want to give a scope and say all users or current user. But when I install this, what happens in this API management may have a dependency. Say you cannot directly connect to API management, right? Because you need to connect to the Azure first. For that, you need to have a connect-az account command that is available in az.automation or sorry az.account module. So the first thing is you need to explore that module, get module. So get command module az.account. I don't get anything here because az.account module is not installed in my machine, I think. Let me see whether az module is installed. Okay, I have got az module installed. So when I'm checking for the get hyphen module, the module name is az. I have to give hyphen list available. If I don't give it, whatever the currently loaded module, only that will be available in my local machine, in the local context, in the current context. So if I run get hyphen module, the package management was not available earlier. When I ran a command find module and started installing the module ps.html, that's when the package management module loaded, because PowerShell will auto load the module when you're running the command. Okay, you don't need to explicitly download it. So that's how it works. By default, it will download. You can go ahead and set it in the variable. So now what you see here is I've got two versions of PowerShell script here. Sorry, AZ module here. That is script modules 6.3.0 and 6.2.1. Is that the latest version? I just want to find it. So how do I do that? I just do find hyphen module AZ all versions. Sit back, relax to see what are all the available versions. Oh my God, that's super awesome. Okay, it's page related, but I don't need to wait. So the latest version is 7.1.0, but I have got 6.3.0. Correct. So now I need to upgrade it. Now, how do I do that? So I just go ahead and say find hyphen module and push enter. Let's see. Now it automatically gave 7.1.0. You can ignore this warning. This warning is appearing because I have a internal gallery. That is like to download the packages which is using for my own organization. So you can ignore that. So I've got 7.1.0. Now I don't wait. I just go ahead and say find hyphen module, install hyphen module, scope, all user. I just want to install for all users, not a problem. And I give hyphen verbose, hyphen force, push enter. So when I do this, it will automatically go start looking out for the AZ module package and start installing it. It won't look only for AZ. It will start looking for az.accounts advisor. You can see now it's verbose is printing. It try to install all the modules packaged in AZ by Microsoft. There are some modules which aren't included as part of the AZ that you have to install by yourself by searching it in the gallery. Okay. Okay. This will take a couple of minutes or more than 2-3 minutes to install because it has to find and start the installation. So we don't need to work on this part at this point of time. So now I come back to my next part. So this is the Visual Studio Code, which I love to use as my PowerShell editor. And I use my PowerShell terminal. Whenever I click on the new terminal, I'll be getting the PWSH. That means I'm running the PowerShell core. Whenever I start, I can see the PowerShell version here. Okay, so that is pretty easier for me to make sure that I'm running the right version and I'm also having the latest one. Okay, so I can have multiple terminals. I'm just closing off other terminals here. Okay, let PowerShell console host be running. So I'll have a PowerShell core running here. So I've got some root folder here and secrets.json. I've created a different authentication mechanism. First thing first, I need to establish a connection to the Azure so that I can work with the Azure, right? There are a lot of ways you can do it. You can have with a prompt, without a prompt and stuff. So how do you understand that is? Let me just see whether the installation started. The installation started here. I want to just take a break here to show you what is happening. So today is 22, right? So you can see the az.accounts and other folders start updating the time, date time, 22/1/2022, the current timestamp. If I open up az.accounts, I've got multiple versions of az.accounts module because, as I said, it's a side-by-side installation. And you can choose which version you want. By default, PowerShell will take the latest version. So the latest version is 2.7.1. How do I know? Because I can just see the latest version number and the date timestamp here. Simple as that. So now I got the latest version of PowerShell. Now what I do is I explicitly import the module. Import module az-verbose. See, I can go ahead and give the required versions and give the number when I want to choose the specific version to be running in my context, current context, that is my console host. But I don't want to do that. I just give -version, verbose, and push enter. So it's going to download the 7.1.0 version by default. That's the latest version. So I'm happy with that. So this is downloading the module. Let it complete the import so that I can start over my work. So whenever you look into the module, you will always have two files here, PSG1, PSM1. I can explain it, but it is bit time consuming, or probably if I have a second series continue for this, then I can tell you how to write the modules and stuff. But for now, I need to focus writing of the function and exploring the commands. That's it. Okay, so I think this is taking a long time. Okay, it's completed. Now, first thing first, I need to go ahead and connect. So I just do connect AZ account. I use a parameter called use device authentication. So that means when I run this particular command, it will give me a hyperlink. So I just copy this hyperlink. I go to my URL and I copy this code. This is one way securely I can authenticate it. So I can just click on next and choose which account I need to connect. So I've got my account already signed in, so I'm just doing it. When I'm trying to connect, it will always prompt, are you trying to sign up for your Microsoft Azure PowerShell? Yes, of course I did it. So system knows it. So now it will establish the connection to my Azure. It will have access to all the subscriptions wherever my account has got an access. I've got some warning. It says unable to authenticate, blah, 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 but I don't care about it because I got my subscription. I've got only one subscription, and that's sorry. OK, I've got my tenant ID details. So now I can just go ahead and run any of the commands. Say, for example, the first thing, very simple command. Sorry, please, guys, be on mute if you're on a personal talk. OK, now I want to say find all the resource groups available in my subscription. OK, first I will see how many subscriptions I've got. Get -az subscription. So this commandlet is allowed to pull out all the subscription available. So all I did is get -az, yes, and then tabbed it. So it gave me the AZ subscription, or else you know how to search for the commands. So whenever I do this, I'm getting only one subscription here. That is good. I can also do this. OK, for a get -subscription, there is no. OK, I can also filter it by giving the subscription name or subscription ID. Consider you have more than one subscription, so you can go filter and search for that. You can pass the subscription ID and get the details. Now I need to know how I am getting the results back and how this AZ module is using a REST API in the backend to pull out the information. Consider I want to pull out all the resource group. I need to find a command. So I just do find command. Oh, sorry. Find command name. I type it as resource group. OK. You get all the commands which has something called resource group. OK, sorry, I think I didn't get it. I just want to use a get command. That is easier. So I get all the details which has a command called resource group. So get -az resource group is the one I want to do. So now I will also say get command module from the az.resources. I don't want Azure RM module to come up. So I just copy az.resources and say module az.resources. So I get it only from the az.resources. 5.2.0 is the current version, and I got get az resource group. So I copy this get az resource group. I come to get az resource group. I copy paste it, and I say -verbose, and I push enter. OK, so I'm going to get all the resource groups, whatever I have got it in my machine. Now I need to find the API URL for this particular command so that I can build my own function. So now I do debug. Get -az resource group -debug. I just push enter. OK, all the way scroll up. You see here I've got the API response. Whatever you see it in the yellow color, this is the API call. Let's show you how this works. When I'm giving get-az resource group with the commandlet -debug, what happens is it just goes and hit a particular URL. That means it will go to this particular URL, management.azure.com subscription ID resource groups API version. What is this going to do? Let me copy this. Okay, back here. Let me search for this URL. Azure REST API resource group. I get the resource groups REST API details here. Okay. Now I just go click on list. You see the URL here, get https management.azure.com subscription ID, whatever it is, 2021-0401. That's what exactly I have here. It under the hood, it hits this and then pull out all this information. Now let's see how I do this using PowerShell. I copy this. I open up my PowerShell ISC. I want to see whether I have the current context ready for this. Okay, I don't have this anything. Let me open up the PowerShell core itself. I don't need to worry about it because I have the context here. Now that I have established the connection through my account, so it has a context already stored. So let me see whether I have the get-az context. This is the Azure context, right? So it says this account has got a context. This is the account I created. So I have got the connectivity. Now I need to get an access token. Now you may have little bit of tricky part to be to understand here. Let me show you that. Let me come back here. This for this documentation. This has an example here, right? So that's pretty important for us. Oh my God, that's strange. I don't know why Microsoft didn't give an example. But you have got an option, give a try it. If you click on try it, you can sign in and then it will get the access token in the backend. And it will help you to explore this API. I will show you that as well. And then I will side by side show it in the PowerShell. Okay. It takes more time than expected. I don't know what is the reason behind it. Okay. I will show you how to authenticate to the REST API using the PowerShell. I have a command called get-az access token. Okay. This will give me a token. If I type headers, I get a bearer token here. Okay. So this is the bearer token I need to pass to get authenticated to my REST API. Okay. How do I do that is, let me say I need to get all the resource group. And consider you have only the what is this get-az token command is and which module it is belonging to. First, I will understand that. Even I don't remember everything. Every time I use the get command and get this information. So get access token. So this is part of az.accounts. Consider you have only az.accounts module installed, but you don't have az.resources module available on your machine. In that case, how do I do it? Or I don't need to set a subscription context every time. In that case, the REST API is your best friend. Consider you have 100 subscriptions at your environment. You need to get a resource group information. Every time you need to set a context to the subscription. And then you pull the subscription report and then loop through it and get into it, right? But in the REST API, you don't want to do that. You have a super option for that. You can always go to get hyphen. Okay. First, I'll do the authorization header. For this, I say bearer. Okay. Before that, I need to make an authorization hash table. Authorization equals. I'll explain you what I'm doing now. Bearer. This is a placeholder F, and I say get -az access token dot token. So this will give me a hash table with the authorization as a key value, and I get a bearer. This 0 will be backfilled by the token, this bearer token value. Okay, so that will be my authorization. So instead of giving this as an authorization, I will call this as header. I got my header. Now I will pull out all the resource groups. I'll call the variable called resource group, and I use invoke hyphen rest method, and I call a method as get. By default, it's a get method only. You don't need to explicitly mention it. I want to give an endpoint URL. So the endpoint URL is, I copy this. Make sure you remove get from here because that's a method. And I also remove this because default method is get. So I don't need to use this parameter. So I'm just minimizing it so that I can maximize it in some time. Now that what I need to give is a header. Headers for this is header value, and then content type as application. Can you see the screen now? So now I've got invoke hyphen rest method command. I'm using the endpoint URL. I need to pass my subscription ID here because that is a value here, right? Now I need to keep subscriptions. I go back to my Azure portal and I get my subscription detail, copy the subscription ID, give the subscription ID. So I give, push enter. Now I give resource group. I get a JSON value back. That's good. So now I got a value. I didn't use get-ac resource group. I was using a REST API in the backend using invoke rest method. I'm getting the value here. So now you have PowerShell at your hand, right? So you can go ahead and format the data however you want. So I just say, give me only the name and location of the resource group. I push enter, I get all these details. I can select the property I want, and I want to export this to my CSV file. I want to share this to my team or to my boss or to whomever you want to send as a CSV. You can use export hyphen CSV command and then say C10. I store this as resource group hyphen report .csv, and I give no type information switch. If I don't give, I'll get this no type information header in the Excel sheet. So when I push enter, I'm good. So I can just go ahead and open this item. So I'm using an alias invoke hyphen item C10 resource group report.csv. So yes, when I run this, I get the report here. You can use this very well without REST API like get-ac resource group get hyphen resource group, and you can combine it with export hyphen. There is another data format called XML. You can do that also. Export to XML. Why I don't get it? Well, that is convert to XML. Okay, that's okay. Anyways, I'm going to export it, right? So I'll export it to. Okay, let me do this. Convert to JSON. Consider you want to store it in database or something like that. So I just say convert to JSON. If you do a typo in your command, it won't resolve. The tab completion won't resolve. Okay, so if I do convert to JSON, I get the JSON output. So you can directly dump this to your Cosmos DB or whatever it may be in a regular interval to make some kind of auditions or any kind of work you do, reporting works. So this is how you play around with your command and start working on it. Apart from this, there is other way to do the Cloud Shell method I said, right? So that is pretty simple and straightforward. You can open up, say, for example, I just give this Azure exit focus mode. You go to this particular link. This will also be very useful for you. I'll just ping you that. Yes, yeah, of course, you can use that commandlet also to get the installed module. That's not a problem, but you have to just check whether do you have that commandlet available. Let me see that. You have get hyphen installed module. Yes, you can also use get installed module. Let me see how this command is working. Get hyphen command. This comes from the PowerShell get module again. Yes, this is also another alternate way, but just bear with me. Get-installed module is not pulling out information from all the location, because I use get-module list available. There is a difference here. Let me show you that. Do measure-object. I've got 281. Okay, let me do the same in the other one. Get-installed module. Measure-object. I've got ID. What is the difference between these two? Because you got two different location to install the modules. If I'm going to install it from the PowerShell core, the location of this installation is different than what you have installed it in the Windows PowerShell. That is the difference. Say, for example, I go to C, program files, Windows PowerShell, modules. This is different allocation, right? You don't see any AZ module installed in it, but I have got AZ module installed in my core, right? Get-module. Yes, I've got that. Look at this. C program files, PowerShell, Windows modules. So this is another location from that. C program files, PowerShell modules. Here I've got AZ modules. So it's always recommended to use this or that. Depends on the version you're running. So I think I answered that question anyways. Now that we don't want to get diverted, let me get back to other one. There are multiple ways you can get authenticated to your PowerShell, as I said, like so you can use connect-az account. So better use help command and use -examples. So when you use -examples, you will get only the example. You don't see that detailed descriptions, other info and things. You can always use help connect-az account examples, and you can see this is using Azure user.azure.com. See how you are going to connect to this. Directly you use connect-az account, it will prompt you just go and authenticate. Or you can use credential command and then store the credential and authenticate. And also you can use using a MSI, managed service identity. So you can just simply use -identity from the machine where you're using. That is also allowed. And also you can use using the certificates. When you have a thumbprint, certificate, client ID, application ID, and all those details. That is also accepted. There is another way you can have a credentials and also connect. That is also totally accepted. You can also generate the bearer token using the PowerShell command. Let me show you that. I think I'll be having that command. Bearer token. I have written this. Yeah. I'll show you how that authentication works. In my Windows box, I don't have PowerShell installed. Okay, so back to my. I don't have any AZ modules here. I am not using any AZ commandlets. Let me show you that. Get-module. I don't have any AZ Azure related modules loaded in this current context. So now, sorry. So now I'll just try to provision one resource so that we can go to this question and answer section later. Client ID, client secret. So this is an application I've registered in my Azure Active Directory. If I go to my default directory, I've created a SPN. Okay, so it's just very simple. I don't want to walk through the steps. I'm running out of time actually. So if you open up the application, I have an app ID, directory ID, and I have a secret for that. Okay. So what is my tenant ID? I have already stored this in one of my path. Get-content ctemp. Here is Dear Azure. Go back to my repo again. C- repos. Dear Azure. I have got my secrets available. Why I want to do this is I'm just showing out other tricks to get authenticated. I'm reading the content from secrets.json and converting. Okay, I'm convert from JSON, so I can take any JSON body and then I can convert it to .NET objects here. So if I run this, I'm going to get the values. Okay, so how this works is now I just want to use secrets. Okay, I don't want to store this anywhere. Now all the way I need to give the application ID. Application ID is nothing but my secrets.client ID. So I run this, only line number 1 I need to run. I just select that, do right click on F8. That's going to store the value in secrets. I just come back all the way to my client ID. I will give the script, you can look into it later. I just walk you through how I'm going to authenticate it. So I pass the client secret and I want to, okay, I made a mistake. It's a client secret and this is a client ID. Client ID. So I need to give a tenant ID too, similarly. So I pass this to this endpoint login.microsoft.online.com and then I give the tenant ID here, OAuth 2 token, and I get the authorization. Let's see how that works. Error description, the application unsupported grant. What is the purpose of it? Client ID, client secret is there. Client secret, that's the client ID. Tenant ID. Login.microsoft.com. Client ID is the client ID. Client secret is the client secret. Why I don't get the authentication? The app request an unsupported grant type client credentials. What is the unsupported? This error is not the right error. Is there any way that I made a wrong credential setup? No. Unsupported grant type. What's the reason behind it? Resource is also correct resource. Okay, anyways, this is one other way. I don't know what is the error. Probably if I just get something, I can just put it across in the YouTube channel as a comment. So there is another way you can generate the bearer token and you can start looking into that part also. Now that I want to create a new resource group, for example, but in this way, I have already generated a token. That's not a problem. I have a token available. This token is valid till 1 hour. So now I just do new AZ resource group. New AZ resource group tab completion. I want to give a resource group name and I want to give a location. Then I want to give a tag. What is the tag values? I don't know, but I don't know what is the location. How do I get out of it? This kind of a trouble. Just do help new AZ resource group and just type examples. Simple as that. Now I just go grab this. I keep this as an example, RG01 Dear Azure. Okay, I just do verbose and I also do debug. When I do this, it's going to give a confirmation. Hey, do you want to create a new resource group? I just say yes. How do I suppress this? I'll show you it in next example. So when I'm going to push enter, I got a API call here. This says like HTTPS, this is my endpoint, and this time I'm going to use a post method, sorry, put method. So I can see that from the HTTP method here, put method, and then my body is only location. Where is the name of the resource group? It's in the URL itself. It's a query parameter. So you can just pass the name here and you can very well run it in the API. So now I got a new resource group. So I'm coming back here to my Azure Cloud. subscription, and I go to my resource groups. What is the resource group name I created? So I've got this resource group. Right, now I'll just show you how to delete this resource group using a REST API. So I want to go to the documentation, resource group documentation, exit focus mode. I go to the delete endpoint, the API. So this is the link for that. Okay, here I've got the delete option, right? So when I'm coming back here to my window, so I just do invoke REST method URI. I go back to my home and do the delete here. I need to give my subscription ID and I want to give my resource group name. So I just copy this URL. Simple as that. Copy only this back here. The API version may vary, so you have to just make sure that you're giving the right values. So I've given this. Now I have to give method parameter and say delete. Okay. Verbose. I want to see what's happening. I want to delete this. That's it. Now I need to, before that, I want to give a headers, right? Headers is in my value header. Give verbose, push enter. And this is doing a delete operation. Now that I got a response back, go back here to my Azure portal, refresh it. I shouldn't see the resource group anyways. I think deletion should be in progress. After some time, yes, I should not see this resource group. And also there are other ways you can use it using easy CLI. As I said, you can start looking into it, but this is only focusing on PowerShell. So there's a lot of commands you need to just go through it in a way I've shown you. So that will be very friendly for you to go and learn about it. And if you are just feel bit hard to learn that in the console host, there is other way, like you can do, say, help new -az function app command, for example. You can always do -online and push enter. It will open up the online version of the help documentation, provided Microsoft has already provided that link for you. So you can just go through it and read it at your ease. And also you can copy paste it, or you can try it directly from here to the cloud shell. So if I click on try it and click on sign in, it will prompt which directory you need to choose. So I will always choose my directory where I have an access, right? And I directly start running these commandlet in my cloud shell, where I don't need to worry about what version of PowerShell I'm running, where I am running it. Microsoft takes care of that. So you can just go directly run that in the cloud shell. So this is the very basic things you have to know about it. Considering the timeline list, I want to quickly cover about like how do you want to write a function in PowerShell. So it's pretty simple. You don't need to type in everything. You have to just install the extension, PowerShell extension in your VS Code. So that's very much important. Consider you're not using easy module, but you want to use a REST API, something like that. So you install the ISE. So now I want to create a function for the create RG. So very simple. Best practice for that is you can just go ahead and type in commandlet. Okay, I will just choose commandlet. You can see here it's an advanced function. So I just choose advanced function. It will prompt. It will say you have to give a verb and a noun. So I say like new X. Consider you're building a custom module for your organization, not using easy module, easy CLI, but you want to have a custom modules for your organization. Keep it in your own DevOps gallery somewhere and then import it. Okay, so I'm just saying that new XAZ resource group. So the X means experiment, C means community. So you can just plan accordingly and then do it. So I'm using X here just for a demo purpose. When I create a resource group, I need to ask my users to give a resource group name. So I don't need to use this begin process, all this stuff. Consider you are generating a token here. I'm just giving an example. Okay, I will give a header. So here you are getting the token, BRL token. you have to plan accordingly. If you have a AZ tokens, only the module, AZ.AZ account, sorry, you can do that, or you have to generate a BRL token through the URL. That's it. So this is one way to generate the header, and then you just copy the thing what we have done here to create a resource group. But don't ever do this inside your function. You're wrapping a function inside the native commandlets. Don't ever do that. So you can just go ahead and type in like saying invoke -rest method, and then you choose the -URI, and then you can use the method. You just fill in this. Then you plan the return type. You're done with the functions. But you should not do only that, right? Apart from that, you need to give. Okay, let me pull out only the resource group. Content type, application, JSON, and then I don't need to give a verbose. Here I just go ahead and write a help. Nobody knows, consider consumer of this particular module aren't aware of PowerShell, but they need to read the help. So I just do comment and say comment -help. I just use it. It comes up with all the details. Meta. Don't ever break this. Don't change anything. It won't work. So you just go ahead and fill in this information. So say like a PowerShell command led to pull resource group information. You can just copy this, put this one here, and say some example. Blah blah blah. Not typing it anything here. And here I just say -link. Okay, and I say http about PowerShell.com. What happens is I'm just breaking that. I'll call it as resource group name, and I'll print the details here. Write information, message data, hello. I'll show you how that works now here. Resource group. Information action continue. Okay, so now I've got scripts. Underneath it, I've got create.rg.ps1. So when I run it, nothing happened. So I will call this using two scripts create.rg. So now I just say new -x AZ group. So it resolved, right? This command has got resolved. Now I can just do resource group name and type in something here. It's going to say hello, whatever the text I've given. But how do I understand this help? How do I read the help for this? You can very well do this. New x AZ resource group and say online. What happens now? It will open up about-powershell.com website because I made this meta.link about-powershell.com. Now I fixed that URL so that it can open it. I made a typo, right? Again, what I need to do is I need to just do the execution so that the context will come in, and I do the -online. It will go open up my blog site. So consider you have multiple pages for this help, and you can do that. And now I need to do the example. So just do the examples and push enter. So it says blah blah is the example because that's the only example I've got. So here I'll just write a proper example. New XAZ resource group and say resource group name. Say something like this. And what I need to do, I need to rerun this and do the help. Now I got the example. So this is how you present the function to your fellow teammates or to your organization, and you write bunch of this and convert to this module. Probably when I get a next opportunity, I will talk about how to write a custom modules, and then you can automate your tasks, maybe something kind of intermediate session. So this is all about you have to know about using PowerShell or different ways of using PowerShell to work with your Azure environment. Thanks a lot, guys, and up to you, over to you, so you can ask some questions, we can answer that.
Do we have a script session as well as?
Script session for?
Like automating the like resource group and all the data we are pulling, right? In the subscription, how many VMs? So basic
Correct.
idea about that. How many NICs are there, and like n numbers of things can be done. So do we have session like that?
Yes. For that, I will always prefer not to use PowerShell. We will be covering that in the resource graph query. There is a subset of a crystograph query, so you can use that to pull out. So you don't use REST API. I will anyway, since you asked this question, I'll quickly give you a demo on it. Hope you can see my screen still, right?
Sure, yeah.
So I will recommend you don't use PowerShell to pull out how many NICs are there, how many resource groups with the tags and stuff. You go to your Azure portal, click on Home, and sorry, go to your subscription. Okay, open up any of the subscription, and then you click on where is that query option? Why don't I see that? Okay, click on all resources. I'm extremely sorry. It's been a long time that I logged into the portal. So if I go to the all resources and you see a open query icon here,
Yeah, yeah,
you
correct.
click on the open query. So this is where you need to pull out a report for your Azure. So I have a resources table for this. You can very well access that in your left pane. You can see all the available table. Just double click on it. You will take the resources, or maybe a single click now. Yeah, click a single click. You will get resources. Click on run query. It will give you all the resources information here. You can very well go ahead and export it. You can just do this, run a query, download as CSV. This is a way to do it in the portal. Okay. Now you want to say, get me only the resource group. You need to just not PowerShell. This is a resource graph query, which is nothing but a subset of your Quisto query language. I can try to cover this detailed 1 hour session, how to do that, but this is just a quick demo since you asked me. So what I do is I just go ahead and say where type like let me pull this so that I can have a type, right? I'll check Microsoft virtual machines. Okay. Something like this. Okay. Now I run this query. I get only the Microsoft virtual machines result.
Correct.
Correct?
Looks like it's a Kuste query kind of things.
It's a resource graph query. As I said, it's a subset of Quisto query.
Correct.
It works similarly, but not all the functions in the Quisto query works. I will recommend not to use PowerShell because per hour you are allowed to use 12,000 API calls from the given tenant. If you're getting the threshold limit higher, you will have a lot of memory consumptions and resource consumptions when you're using a scripting for a REST API or a PowerShell AZ module or ARM module or AZ CLI. It goes invoke a API underneath and then get the results back for you, collect it in a variable and then store it. This is one stop shop for your reporting. You can use this in the PowerShell directly. Using
Can
an
we
API.
also like automate that one, like inventory? We have multiple inventory in my infra.
Yes,
So
sir,
we
you
can
can very well
automate
do
that.
that.
So can we do
How?
it like automate also here? Like particular time slot, they will pull the report of the VM something.
No, this will not. This particular blade won't allow you. But I have done that for my organization. So what we have done for that is we use a module called az.resourcegraph. Okay, let me show you that. Get module az.resourcegraph. I don't have resource graph module installed in this.
I think so it's not.
Now that you asked me, probably I may take another 5 minutes. Sorry, Kasam, I just want to spend some more time here.
No, please go ahead.
So AZ.resource graph PowerShell gallery. I just want to take the name of it so that it will be easy. Yeah. So I've got the latest version as 0.1. Okay, got it. The resource graph is not part of the AZ module.
Correct.
That's
Right.
why I didn't get it. So
Yeah.
I just copy this now. I just use run it and just give a scope all users verbose source. So now that what happens, it will give me the az.resourcegraph commandlets, right? I think this has some trouble. No, it started looking into it. See, this is another good example. Thanks for the one who asked the question. When I install az.resource graph, it has its own dependence module, az.accounts. It pulled out by itself. Now that I've got the command, so now what I do is I use a command called search-az graph. This is my query. Okay. Back to the portal. Copy this. You got the result? Let me do this one more time because I copy this query. Consider you made a joins and multiple queries. Definitely it will work. This is how I do it on my workplace. Probably I can give some good session on this part because this is a different thing from the content what we are talking, but still, if I do the query and I say in the double quotes, get me the information. You know what do you see here? This is nothing but my virtual machines details.
Correct.
But this has got a lot of advance than your PowerShell. Consider that you want to pull out a power status of your VM. You need to use something like this, right? Get -az VM and say instance view or something like that. You have to use, right? Extend or status, right? When you use this switch, along with this, you will get the power status of the VM. Okay, VM power state. Got it? This will invoke two API. It will go to the instance view of the API and then pull out this information. Wherein I don't want to use such kind of things here. When I pull this information, you can see bunch of collected objects in the properties. Correct? From here, you can pull out all the details. Properties.extend.instance view. I'll just show you how to do that. Now I say project ID, comma name, comma location, comma power state equals to string of properties extended dot instance view, something like that. If I run, you see the power state, I got it.
Yes, VM deallocated.
This is a JSON type, so I can just quickly go to the power state one more time and then display status. So I just go here, instance view dot display status, and then run this query. You got VM deallocated status, right?
Correct.
This is a more elegant and robust, fastest way to pull out a report. So PowerShell is not definitely for your reporting. Especially, it's my personal opinion, using PowerShell for reporting is not a good practice. You can use it when there is a very limited environment, a very small environment. When you have a bigger environment, it is going to cause a lot of noise. So what I've done is I'm using this Quisto query and say like I'm just pulling out this information, right? I will schedule this in my function app or I will do it in my DevOps. So I will get the report in CSV, I will send it in email. It can be, we are pulling out information on NIC, we are pulling out information on security center. You can come back here and see all the tables here. So that you can pull out the information. You can get the policy related information. You don't need to have a AZ policy commandlet. You can go to the assignments definitions table and see, simple as that. You just go click run, you get the policy states if you have ones in your environment. Okay. So similarly, Microsoft also gives Kubernetes different table. If you want to get the Kubernetes configuration resources, you get that details about namespaces and stuff you can pull out from here directly. It's really super handy. You can also get the security resources. If you have anything, you can just pull out that information. We are getting all these details and then we consolidate it and send it to the Cosmos DB. And from there, we are plotting a Power BI.
This can be used for more complex reportings also, like application gateway, listener, HTTP setting, etc.
Whatever the resources you have, you can very well use that. Okay, this is a very depth question actually. I'll try to tell you how that works. You go to your Microsoft Azure Home and choose Monitor. This is another service where you can go to your workbook. Okay. When you're creating an empty workbook, you will have a lot of options here. You can query your logs directly. Okay. Application logs, analytics and stuff. Okay. I will not recommend resource graph also. You have another option to present a data to your business. You can directly go to your Azure resource graph and choose all the subscriptions, whatever you have got. Okay. And here you can just type in this detail and run a query. You will get the results here. Okay. What is the advantage here is you can visualize it by the charts. Okay, so it gives you some good information and you can just store this. This is a very good way where you can do it. The question you asked is how I can make some complex looking in the log analytics, what is the data and other stuff. You can have another grid like this and you have an option to merge two different data types, data sources. Maybe it can be a logs or it can log analytics, it can be a resource graph. You can merge together and get the data. Say for example, now I need to find all the resources, summarize, count.
We can integrate with a log analytics as well as right here.
1 minute, let me tell you that. See, you got a graph here. So I'm just say, for example, you have one set of query here. I'm using the resource graph query as something, right? I just named it as like take 10 and I run a query. So it's going to give me 10. I just want to make it as set by query. So it will automatically don't give me this options. So I've got some details here. I got 10 set of data and another 10 set of data here. Coming back to the third part and I'm running a data source as merge. From here, I just go ahead and choose the query 0, query 1, something like that, because I have two different set of data sources. I have to choose how do I map both. Unique ID is this thing. So I just choose it. And if I just do run merge, you will get the data that is common between these two. Okay, this is a simple example I'm showing. So yes, to answer your question, you can merge it. You have to think about that logic, sir. So my recommendation would be don't spend time on writing a PowerShell script for the inventory. Use resource graph query, and resource graph query will always get the all the newly created resources. Every 15 minutes the job runs and then it will dump the data in the resource graph table. OK, so you don't need to worry about it. Once the data resource is deleted, you don't see it in the resource graph. OK, so that's how resource graph works, and that is meant for that. You can use Azure workbooks, monitor to plot your dashboard. And also I will give you another option. You don't need to export and send it to your team. You can always allow an opt an option here. Say that show export to Excel button when not editing, done editing. And then I just say done editing. You see, this is how your output will be. If I do a full screen, this is how your output will be. Now I want to get all the resource group details. I just go here, click on export, desktop. I got the exported data.
So when we are running it from PowerShell again, the limit of 12,000 calls you were telling is not applicable on this, right?
Not this, for the complete REST API for your tenant. If you're crossing 12,000, more than 12,000, you have to take a break of 3 minutes. And then you have to 90 seconds or something like that. And then you have to rerun it. There are possibility to hit that threshold. But anyways, don't use REST API to pull out the inventory data. Why? Because you will be using a lot of resources of your machine. And at point of time, you may get a 409 conflict error from REST API, because when you're doing multiple, when you're running, other operations may happen on that particular resource. So conflict may occur. Better use a resource graph for your reporting purpose and then solve the problem easily.
Okay.
This is almost like you can say 80% faster than your REST API. Okay. See, honestly saying, I'm at my workplace, I have like 1,600 plus subscriptions now across multiple tenants. It is impossible for me to pull out reports using the REST API or graphs, EasyCLI or PowerShell or something like that. I use a resource graph so that all the subscription I have an access, I do the pagination and I get it. There is one other catch here. When you're using a search resource graph and your subscription is more than 1,000, you don't get the data directly. You need to go write a custom script to pull out data which is more subscription, which is more than 1,000. That pagination won't support natively. There is a Microsoft document for that. You can make use of that.